Let's talk about the Republican National Convention. I was laughing walking around because the way the headlines are now, there you cannot trust media. You know, you have one media source saying the ratings are lower than the Democrats, despite Fox News still owning the ratings. You look over at another source. Republican National Convention had huge ratings.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like everything else. What do you believe nowadays?
How about this? Who cares? I mean, let's decide as American citizens what kind of ideology we think is best for the country, and let's cut out all the other fat.
There was a couple of pretty good speakers. We won't play all of them today, but I mean, there was a couple of them. I thought, man, they are awesome. They really did a good job. Of course, Melania spoke, and Bette Midler has attacked her on Twitter. Well, and now she's getting blowback from that. I wonder how it feels for someone who is a big lib to be called a xenophobe.
That's hilarious.
Well, just go back.
They're caught up in their own web, aren't they?
Just go back to it again. Just remember, and I know but it's so true. Just pay attention. The bottom line is this: you have two different ideologies in this country. You certainly got to decide.
I mean, vast.
You got to decide your principles, which one. And I'm not talking about the feel-goodism of it all, because what you realize when you see the Bette Midlers, when you see a bunch of fascists saying they're anti-fascist when they're being fascist, and when you see all this going on, you realize it's just two different ideologies. There are wicked and evil people in both ideologies. Yeah. The left is no more kind than anybody else. As a matter of fact, at times they can be
worse,
as vicious.
Rick, they're the light.
Yeah, they're not. But
they're not the light.
But here's the thing. You know the thing, Greg, and I know you're being facetious, but they're not.
Well, that's their thing.
But they're not.
No, Rick, really?
They're just as bad as anybody else.
They support.
You know this. You know. They're the ones that wear the bumper stickers, you know, about mean people while being a mean person.
Yeah. So I saw a couple of the speakers last night. One was very moving, Abby Johnson. I know you're familiar with her story.
Oh, man. That movie.
This was Pam Bondi. Is that right? Now, she was a former Attorney General for the state of Florida.
Yes.
But she is talking about the crimes of the Biden family, and it's pretty interesting.
All right, here it is from the RNC last night.
As a career prosecutor and former Attorney General of Florida, I fought corruption, and I know what it looks like, whether it's done by people wearing pinstripe suits or orange jumpsuits. At the Democrats' convention, we were told to look at Joe Biden as the model of integrity. But when you look at his 47-year career in politics, the people who benefited are his family members, not the American people. Let's take a closer look. We all know about Joe's son, Hunter Biden. A corrupt Ukrainian oligarch put Hunter on the board of his gas company, even though he had no experience in Ukraine or in the energy sector. None. Yet he was paid millions to do nothing. He only had one qualification that mattered. He was the son of the man in charge of distributing U.S. aid to Ukraine. And recently reported information revealed that a few months after Hunter Biden joined that corrupt company's board, the Obama-Biden State Department began doing business with them, even when it remained under investigation for corruption. And it gets worse. That very same company was being investigated by a Ukrainian prosecutor. Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States, threatened to withhold aid to Ukraine unless that same prosecutor was fired. And then he was fired. Hunter only resigned from that board just before his dad announced his campaign for president. Now let's talk about China. Fact: Joe Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with Hunter along for the ride. They said he was just there as a family member, but we know that's untrue. In Beijing, Hunter didn't just go sightseeing. He had meetings with his Chinese bank partners. Hunter even arranged for his dad to meet with one of the partners. 10 days later, those Chinese communist bankers approved millions to go to Hunter's firm. And those bankers work for the Chinese Communist Party, which oppresses their people, cheated American workers for decades, and covered up a deadly virus. To this day, Hunter controls a 10% stake in that firm.
Wow. So
now you realize what we have in this the the prosecutor who was investigating this company that Hunter Biden was on, Joe Biden said he wanted the guy gone. He wanted him fired. And they fired him. And Joe Biden actually bragged about it. You remember the video clip? Yeah. I called him up and said, if they want the money, they better get rid of the guy. Yeah. That is the same reason that they said they prosecuted Donald Trump for impeachment.
I know.
Because he threatened to withhold aid until an investigation was open.
Which kind of...
Although they never had absolute evidence of that. You never heard the conversation. We heard Joe Biden bragging about the fact he got that prosecutor fired.
So I guess that goes to the question I want to ask all of you. Certainly,
it's on tape.
Yeah, certainly good to get these things on record, and it was clearly presented. All those things should bother people. However, we had the clip you're talking about. We've all heard it, but does it do anything to get, who are we trying to get to change their mind? Because the people who are galvanized, it doesn't bother them that Joe Biden has been in the corruption of Washington for 47 years. It doesn't seem to bother his supporters that he has, been there and has really still telling us problems we have, that why hasn't he fixed them? What has he ever done? Have you ever heard one person say, let me give you the record of what Joe Biden has done for America? Have you heard that list yet? Maybe I missed it. Maybe there was. I'm trying to be fair. I haven't heard it.
Big-hearted Joe.
Yeah, and like we said, all we heard is Joe's a good old guy and Donald Trump is the devil himself.
Dark.
He's dark and Joe Biden's light. Of course, I'd have a hard time. That definition of light may be not the one y'all think they're talking about.
Right there is the clip. Can we just hear this again?
Well, how many times we heard it?
Just hear
how many times we heard it? Okay.
Let's hear it.
I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Now, according to Joe Biden, the prosecutor was corrupt because he was actually investigating his son's corrupt country.
Mama, that was not me. That was Joe Biden.
That's right.
Yeah, nice.
But see, Joe Biden, as sitting vice president, is telling you that he told them, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to withhold the aid coming to you. That's exactly the reason the Democrats impeached Donald Trump.
It has a pro quo feel to it.
Well,
you know why?
But one step further than the case against Donald Trump, we actually see Biden on tape doing it and then bragging about it to a speech to a group.
Yeah, and then we had the pardon of and we have that clip.
John Ponder.
Yeah.
Great, phenomenal story with him. Goodness gracious.
So
I think he was released from prison 10 years ago. He started an organization to help folks that are coming out of prison. It's a Christian organization. It's just a great story, and he pardoned him.
All right, so here it is.
John Ponder.
Redemption. John grew up without his father. As he tells it, my mother was strong, but she wasn't able to keep us out of the gangs and off of the streets, and they were violent streets. At the age of 38, he was arrested for bank robbery. While John was in prison, he began reading the Bible and listening to Christian radio. One day he heard Reverend Billy Graham on the radio proclaim, Jesus wants to be Lord of your life. On that day, John dedicated his life to Christ. He spent the rest of his time in prison studying the Bible. When he was released, he heard a knock at his door. It was the officer who put him in jail, FBI Special Agent Richard Beasley, who said, I want you to know that I've been praying for you. Now, Richard and John are best friends, and we are grateful that Richard is here with us today. In the last 10 years since John was released, he has created one of the most successful reentry programs, Hope for Prisoners in Las Vegas. So now I'd like to invite John's wife, Jamie, to join us as I grant John, I'm not sure you know this, a full pardon. So I don't know if you know that, Jamie. Come on over here. It's just an honor. And you have done incredible work.
Thank you, sir.
And all of Las Vegas and all of Nevada and all of every place in this country is very proud of you, the job you've done. Congratulations to both.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Richard, thank you very much for the job you do.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And then they show him signing it, so now his record will be wiped clean. Jesus wipes it clean, and then here on earth, he got a visual of that happening.
How about
literally.
the officer that arrested him there too, and they become friends?
That's great.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's a true story of redemption. Republican National Convention last night, provocative 4.5 minutes with Abby Johnson. What was the name of the movie they did about her testimony? Oh, my goodness, I can't think of it. But anyway, she worked with Planned Parenthood and felt one way, being pro-choice, but during the process of working
Unplanned.
And in the process, if you've never seen that movie, it is also very eye-opening, and it's difficult, but it's it needs to be difficult so we can come to grasp with what we're actually talking about here. So here she is last night. If you're someone that maybe is thinking about this and you don't really know where you land, maybe this can be helpful. Here is Abby Johnson from the RNC last night.
My name is Abby Johnson, and I spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood, but today I'm a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods. And every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its racist roots by presenting the Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new quota to meet, an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double the abortions performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, "Abortion is how we make our money." But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty." The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run And Then There Were None, a nonprofit organization that's helped nearly 600 abortion workers transition out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs, or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real. I know what it sounds like. I know what abortion smells like. Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator to these babies, to these women. And I now support President Trump because he has done more for the unborn than any other president. During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day. Life is a core tenet of who we are as Americans. And this election is a choice between 2 radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had. That's something that should compel you to action. Go door to door, make calls, talk to your neighbors and friends, and vote on November 3rd. Take action that reelects our president, and do it with our very most vulnerable Americans in mind, the ones who haven't been born yet.
There you go. That's that's somebody that says, let me just give you what's actually happening versus, because it is, she's right, that there's an attempt to paint a picture that it's no big deal. It's like little cartoon people. It doesn't really, you're just terminating a pregnancy. You're not having an effect on anybody's life. It's all very clean and pristine. I mean, you can't even tell what it is. It's just a blob and all of this. And she's saying, look, I thought all that too. And I thought what they were trying to do is minimize the number of times that people have to make this difficult choice. And she saw that something completely different was happening, and the fact that Sanger is their creator. We've even removed a bust of her recently because it was so difficult to defend her under today's climate when we're supposed to be eradicating racism from our society, which I think we all need to be committed to. But now how that goes about and the inconsistencies and some of the other agendas that have jumped in is unfortunate. But that's a pretty clear picture there, and I hope that is helpful, to maybe people said, you know what, I never really heard these things before, and that helps me with maybe the way I see things, or maybe a difficult decision you may be facing.
That's a tough lesson, isn't it?